Hey everybody. So in today's video, I just came on here to give some IRS updates for the self-employed community and even for those who side hustle and have a traditional job. Okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with who I am and what I do, my name is Tasha Nicole, the entrepreneur. I am a tax strategist, consultant, and educator for middle to high income entrepreneurs in the United States who are looking to cut taxes. And yes, I help protect your money. Okay, so the first order of business is that if you are a self-employed person earning $100,000 or more and have not been filing your taxes like since 2018 and beyond, they're going to be coming to see you pretty soon. Okay, and I'm so serious. They're going to be making visits. They're coming out. Okay, so we tax preparers get all kinds of news from them. They're just keeping us in the loop of things. So they're going to be making visits because they want to know basically what's going on. Why haven't you filed? And there's really no need for a full alarm depending on what your situation is. But if anything, all you really need to do is just file and get yourself on track. Okay, and what you don't want to let happen is too much time go by, because if you do that, they can eventually file what's called a substitute tax return, and that's like one of the worst things because they don't know your situation, your tax deductions, who you claim. They don't know any of your circumstances, so they just come up with a figure and say what you owe based off of the information they receive. Now, even a substitute tax return is not the worst thing, even though I said it's the worst, but what I mean is that once you do eventually file your actual tax return, it overrides the substitute. Okay, they do have to accept it. So if you're wondering, well, how do they even know like how much I made as a self-employed person? They have different resources, especially if you're receiving third-party pay. Okay, as an example from PayPal. All right, if you get paid on PayPal and you received like $20,000 or more on PayPal payments and had over 200 transactions, PayPal is going to issue a form called 1099-K, and they send that to you, and it also goes to the IRS. Okay, if you've been doing rideshare driving, Uber, Lyft, or doing food deliveries, and yes, there's a lot of food delivery people out here who are earning six figures, just YouTube it, okay? And so basically there's a lot going on with people who are just not filing, and this income is being captured through some third-party source. So the IRS is aware, and they're looking for you to file these tax returns. Okay. The other thing is that Cash App for Business. All right. So yes, a lot of us, I actually have a Cash App for Business. All right. And Cash App for Business, again, depending on the amount of revenue you earned on the payments you received, Cash App will also issue you a 1099-K. All right, so that's also another thing. Let's say you're a stylist. Okay, I work a lot with stylists. So let's say you are a stylist and you're on Style Seat and you receive a lot of your transactions through there. Depending on the same situation, if it's been over 20,000 or more, over 200 transactions, Style Seat is going to issue you a 1099, with the exception of if you cashed out or if you classified those transactions like as cash or another type of credit, I think, credit card or whatever. There is some specifications where they won't capture it in that criteria for the $200,000 mark and the $20,000 mark, excuse me, the $20,000 mark and the 200 transactions. So you just need to check on their policies to see what that's about. Okay, I'm just giving you different scenarios on where they get these third-party pays from. Now, a lot of people are also doing Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, there's a lot of transactions going on between Bitcoin and Cash App. Maybe you have some transactions going on there. There's a form called 1099-B, which will be issued to reflect that. Okay, so again, they get resources from all different kinds of things. And then they're also closely watching like highly intensive cash businesses. Okay, they're just like watching for all of that. Like, speaking of social media, I've just never been one to understand why some some people get on and talk about all the money they make, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, from when I was a kid, like I just always learned that's just something you don't talk about. It was none of nobody's business. So I don't know why people go on social media, but to each his own, and talk about whatever money they're making, because if you don't think IRS and the state tax agencies are watching, they are. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And back to the Cash App situation. So maybe some of you may be saying, well, how do they know about my Cash Apps? Maybe I don't have Cash App for business. Maybe I have Cash App for personal. So how are they going to find out about that? Well, the thing is, as mentioned, just talking about even social media, if you're someone who's running a business on Instagram, Facebook, and so forth, and in your captions, you say things like, Cash App me to buy this, Cash App me to buy that. That's proof right there that you are running a business. And if your Cash App is set up to personal, you follow what I'm saying? It's still something that you're giving them to say. You're giving them concrete evidence. Okay, you're running a business, but like what's being reported, you haven't been filing. So you really, really have to watch for all of this activity. Okay. The other thing, and I did say it was two things. Wait, before I get to the second part of the message from IRS, is that Schedule C filers are highly targeted. Okay, they're highly targeted. For audits and things like that. And I did say cash intensive business. The other thing with people who deal with a lot of cash, I'm not sure if some of you are aware, but if you're going to deposit your cash in the bank and it's like $10,000 or more, the bank is required to notify IRS about that deposit. So I was actually on the phone with someone recently who was asking me about a cash deposit. And when I mentioned that, they were like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So yeah, you just gotta, learn about these things. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that the second part of what the IRS is saying. So apparently they've hired a new person to deal with the fraud division of the self-employed community, okay? Because again, they know a lot of shenanigans are going on. Some people are out here reporting false businesses that they don't have. Some people they do have the business, but like they're just putting a lot of false things on the tax returns. So they hired a new person for that. So they're really just trying to come down hard on the self-employed community. Any business can be audited, but the reason why I mentioned Schedule C's are highly audited, you can even search for that yourself, but there's kind of more often you'll see those types of businesses targeted for audits over S Corp, C Corps, things like that, LLCs, okay? Even though LLCs, and I don't want to get off topic here, but LLCs also file Schedule Cs, okay? But I don't know, it's just kind of, when you're not set up with a proper business structure and you're just out here operating without some type of business formation, sole proprietorship is like, technically not really a business structure. It's like it is, but it isn't, so yeah, in any event, that's like what's going on with that. So they did hire this person to come, to be more on top of these fraud situations. So they're going to be checking into that. And another thing, it's like you're not really doing yourself any justice when you are self-employed and not filing, because there's situations like I had someone new who was referred to me who hadn't been filing taxes, and now the person where my new client lives, the homeowner is selling, so they have to move, and now they have to show proof of income. So they're just running into a problem because they haven't been filing the taxes. And like, as a self-employed person, that's your proof of income. There is no W-2. There's nothing else to substantiate what you make. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's like, I get it, guys. We really don't like to pay these taxes, but that's why you need to be on top of business tax deductions, learn your industry, know what's deductible. Don't just solely rely on your tax professional. It's like collective teamwork here, right? Okay, so another situation I have with a new client is that they're trying to, I'm looking at my notes, okay? This client was actually needing to apply for disability. Okay, this client had been in an automobile accident and now has to prove loss of income, but hadn't filed the tax returns, so disability has nothing to substantiate the loss of income. So, you know, guys, like, you never know the circumstances that can come up. These tax returns are going to be needed if you want to eventually purchase a home. Maybe also you have your 17, 18-year-old heading off to college. Now you got to fill out FAFSA forms and things like that. So tax returns play a big role in a lot of our financial world. Okay, so that's the news I wanted to get on here and share with everyone about those visits to the people who are making, you know, 100,000 or more, self-employed, haven't filed. And number two, the fraud the fraud unit has a new person, so you could best believe he's going to be on it. Okay, so just a couple of things before I go. In the end of March, I'm going to be doing another webinar, because speaking of the 1099 forms that I mentioned, well, I was actually talking about any 1099 forms, pardon. Okay, so I'm going to be doing another webinar. In February, I did one, and it was mainly targeted to the hair industry people who were transitioning from employee to independent stylist. Okay, and I taught a lot of information on there. I called it like a lunch and learn, because honestly, the information was concise and quick enough to learn what you needed to learn, get in, get out. Okay, and it didn't like keep you on and on. So I'm going to do the same thing for March, end of March, but it's not going to necessarily be for like the hair industry. I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of people out here who are receiving 1099s, especially guys, because some of these employers, they're trying to really get away from their obligations as an employer, because they have payroll tax obligations to deal with. So they're kind of starting to set you up as 1099 contractors, which is not the worst thing. There's actually a lot of power in being paid as a 1099. So I'm going to be doing a webinar. So make sure you message me if you have specific questions. If you're planning on participating in the webinar, just stay tuned to all. I'm always promoting it. I will be promoting it when it's about to launch, and you can get signed up. But message me if you have specific questions that you'd like me to address in the webinar, or send me an email. Okay, and if for those of you watching who are in the hair industry or makeup artists or whatever, and you do want access to that class, you can just go to bit.ly/booth renter tax class. Okay, bit.ly/booth renter tax class. Okay, and if you'd like to know more about me and how I can benefit your taxes and your business, just visit meettasha.com. And yes, that K in my name is silent, so it's meetktasha.com. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.